Ma'am, the first module, pragmatic competence, is a bit difficult to understand. In that, there is a sentence, uh, the IE language distinction at the level of learning is not tenable. What does it mean by not tenable?
Sorry, what is it? Could you please repeat?
Mm, the distinction between competence and performance at the level of learning is not tenable.
No, you don't have to pay much attention to that. That I think is only for your understanding, right? Don't bother too much about that. It's actually more of a cognitive understanding of what language learning means, right? So just watch the lecture. You won't have questions as such from that. Don't worry too much about it. But competence and performance, they are referred to your understanding. It is, competence is something that everybody has, right? Everyone has the ability. Competence is the ability to learn a language, and performance is actually how you use what you have learned, right? How you use language in your day to day lives for speaking or writing, so on and so forth. Okay, that's the basic difference between both of them. But don't bother too much about that. You are not going to be tested on theoretical aspects, so don't worry. But I hope you understood the distinction. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Any other questions, anyone? So this is your last chance. This is the final live session that we have. In case you have anything that requires some conceptual clarification, please make sure that you ask that to us today, right?
Can you hear me, leader?
Yes, sir. We can
Go
hear
ahead.
you.
I'll be joining. I'm listening. I'll be joining in a minute. Go ahead.
Yes, Sonali, you can ask your question. Please go ahead.
Ma'am, what will be the weightage of the previous week? I mean, 1 to 4 and then 5 to 8?
No, there is no difference in the weightage, I guess, Sonali. It's equally distributed. I think, Aishwarya, can you respond to them? I don't think there's a difference in the
Yes.
weightage.
Yes, Lida, there's no difference. Equal weightage for all weeks. The syllabus is week 1 to 12 for the end term exam. So there is equal weightage for all the weeks.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, we have a one more session on Saturday, right?
No, you may not. I think you've already had all the sessions. If there's anything, we'll let you know. You'll get an announcement about this. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you please explain the topic discourse marker?
Discourse marker. Okay, so I think for you people, you only have discourse markers in speech. You don't have it in for the written language, right? Discourse markers are usually, they act like fillers, right? When you talk, so even, words like right or I mean or oh, all of them act as discourse markers. Their major function is to either, let somebody initiate a conversation or help them pause and think for a while before they, speak about the next. They actually can think and frame the next sentence, right? So they can be initiators. They can be something that helps you transition from one sentence to the next, something that helps you add more to what you are saying or to contrast with what you are saying, right? So they function very similar to the transition devices in writing. Like you have, words like consequently or in other words, or say, although, however, right? So discourse markers have similar functions in speech. And the commonly used ones would be, well, I mean, right? Similar function, but they're different. So that we don't use these kind of discourse markers in written language. So there's a difference between the markers used in written and oral, but the functions are almost the same, right? They help you connect sentences or begin sentences or add details to the sentences, right? Similar functions.
Yes, ma'am, but we have a different, for a different sentence, we have a different discourse marker. That having the problem, ma'am.
Sorry, different sentence? I did not get your point.
Ma'am, different sentence have the different discourse marker means if a sentence have.
Yeah, if a sentence, see, obviously, if, depends on why you want to use that discourse marker, right? If you are using the discourse marker to just begin a conversation, then those markers are going to be definitely different from the others, right? So depending on what function you want the discourse marker to perform in a given sentence, they change. So you need to identify what your what if it is in an exam, then you need to look at the context and see what the question is asking you for. Is it asking you to initiate, or is it asking you to bridge the two sentences, right? Add something in between them so that there is a connect between the previous and the next sentence. That decision you need to make looking at the sentence, right? So yes, they're different because they're used for different purposes in conversations, right?
Yes, ma'am. In that only, ma'am, I have a problem.
I don't know how to help you with that. I think read the sentence and look at what the question is asking you to do. Usually, I don't think you get independent sentences to work on. They rather come as part of passages or some kind of audio report or conversations, etc. So you can make a guess from the conversations that's given. You need to read that, right?
Yes,
You'll have to
ma'am.
read
In
it
mock
a
paper,
couple of
in
times.
mock
Yes.
paper also we have a conversation like.
Huh.
Okay, ma'am.
Sure.
Ma'am, can you please give me the difference between the could and the would?
Could and would difference in the sense you want to know the difference of use of could
Yes,
and would.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
See, if it is to express a polite, context, then you can use could and would both, right? But otherwise, could is used usually to express possibility, general possibility, right? So something like it could rain, right? It could rain is a sentence that indicates general possibility, right? And would, on the other hand, and this is the primary difference between both of them. If you're looking for the core meaning of the model verbs could and would, then could is used to indicate general possibility, and would is usually to talk about hypothetical or imaginary situation, right? Um, and otherwise, to express politeness, you can use both could and would in different situations. Could is usually when you seek permission, a better and a polite way of expressing that would be to use could over can, right? Even more polite way would be to use may, right? So there are differences like this. You can read through that lecture slides again. This is a basic difference. There could be other modalities that each of them express. So make a note of that. But these are the main meanings that all of them, the core meanings that could and would have would be these, right? Differences, one is for possibility and the other is for showing something that is hypothetical or unreal or imaginary, right?
Yes, ma'am. Got it. Ma'am, can you
Ma'am,
please?
Yes, Kiran, go ahead.
ma'am, what is the difference between probable condition and a possible condition?
Mostly the same. Both shows you likelihood of an event, right? Whether you say probable or possible, at least in this context, I think with reference to model verbs, it means the same. both of them express likelihood of or a chance of something to happen, right?
Then how do we distinguish them?
We don't have to. In terms of model verbs, we don't have to make that distinction. It means the same, whether you say probable or possible, we are indicating, we're talking about something. When you have to talk about a chance of something to happen, like likelihood of some event to happen, you either use possibility or probability. You don't have to distinguish between them. They mean the same in this context.
Okay.
It should be there in the playlist, Sonali. You can access it using the playlist. It should be the first, I think first session was on figures of speech.
No, ma'am. When I click on it, it show all the previous live sessions, not the current one.
Okay. Aishwarya, will you check with that? You mean you don't have access to the playlist for the current session?
Sorry, ma'am.
I'll
Do
check
you know?
later.
Yeah. You mean you don't have access to the playlist for the sessions that happened this semester for the current session?
Yes, yes, ma'am. When I click on it, it will
Ah,
show all the previous playlist, not
it
the
takes you
current
to the
one.
previous term, you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, Aishwarya will check and let you know now. The difference between short vowel and long vowel, one is a longer counterpart of the other, which means one is a little, it is lengthier, or what you can say, it is, one is articulated for a longer time than the other. So E and E, right? So say for example, a word like ship and sheep, right? So here E and E, they are short and long counterparts, right? So similarly, you will have at least two other vowels. One is the oo sound. So I'll give you examples for each one of them. You can look at it. So book and pool, right? This is one other example. So ship, sheep, book, pool. One has short and one has long. Then you have, then you have something like stress on vowel. I did not understand your question, Jay Prakash. Stress on vowel also means, are you asking if the stress is on the vowel? Stress is always on the vowel. So when you mark a word for stress, in a given syllable, the stress is always on the vowel sound, right? But in the case of short and long vowel, it's not about stress. Obviously, if it is a monosyllabic word, like most of the words I've used here, stress is on that vowel sound. But as far as the short and long question is concerned, it's about the difference in the length of articulation, right? So one is a short vowel and one is long. So one is produced or articulated for a shorter time period than the other. That's how, that's why they call short and long vowel. And the significance of this, length of articulation is that the moment you change the length, right? The moment you change the short to a long vowel, the meaning of the word changes, right? Ship is different from sheep. So, from that point of view, given that they produce an entirely different word with a different meaning, the length of articulation becomes important, which is why we need to know them, right? And as far as stress is concerned, yes, in every word, whichever syllable is stressed, the stress is actually on the vowel sound. Okay. Noun clause, anything that can take up the position of a noun in a sentence, right? Anything that acts like a noun has nominal functions. It's functions of a noun and is of the form of a clause, which means it should have a subject and a verb of its own, will be a noun clause. So just allow me a moment to give you an example. Just look at this example here in the chat. So I believe the colleges are closed today, right? So here the colleges are closed today is what? This is your clause in the sentence, right? So it's an embedded clause. You have an independent clause, and within that you have another clause, which is the colleges are closed today, right? Now, this particular clause, where does it appear? This appears as the object of the verb believe. So I believe the colleges are closed today. I believe what? Right? If I ask a question, what? I believe what? This particular part, the object place is occupied by the whole clause. The colleges are closed today, right? So this is an example of a noun clause. Now here I have used it in the, the clause has been used as the object of the verb believe, right? Similarly, you can have sentences where, the clause can appear as a subject, right? So whatever the case, whether in the subject position or object position, if the clause you use, the embedded clause in the sentence, takes up the role or function of a noun, right? Then you call that a noun clause. If it takes up the role of an adjective, you call it an adjectival clause, providing additional information about a given noun. If it tells you about the manner, place, time, purpose, so on and so forth, then you call that an adverbial clause, right? So based on the functions they perform, we classify it accordingly.
Okay, ma'am.
Sure. Okay, any other questions?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, about the peer deck slides that we had that day, no, about the questions of during the workshop of
Oh,
email
yeah.
writing
Right.
and yeah.
What happened to
So
that?
no, ma'am, nothing. Just I was to ask that you said no, you'll tell about the mistakes that happened in our
That
answers
will
and all
take
that.
some time. I need to compile that
Oh,
document. You will get the
that.
response. I mean,
Okay,
we are not
okay,
going to send out an announcement for that. You will get an individual mail.
oh, okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Do we have no more questions? Sonali, have you visited these slides at least?
Yes, ma'am. I
So, what is it that you don't understand? If you have the examples, I don't think it's difficult to understand that one.
actually, ma'am, both the both both the parts of a speech having the same thing.
Parts of
Uh,
speech.
sorry, ma'am. Figure of a speech.
Okay, okay. Figures of speech. Which one? Which one has the same examples?
Ma'am, gesture positions, in gesture positions we have a oxymoron and antithesis, right?
Yeah, they can be subparts. Yes, an umbrella term for that would be
Yes,
juxtaposition.
ma'am.
Yes.
In that, then the question will become, then what will be the specific answer
You
for
won't
that?
have questions like that. Don't worry about that. Okay. Leave the question part to us. Just look at the examples and see if there's anything that is unclear to you. Okay. If the examples and the definitions given do not match, then it is okay. Otherwise, don't worry. We are aware of those things. You'll never get a question where you can have a confusing example. Okay. Or even the options. Okay. Uh, just know the difference. They will, and in case if there is a mix up, then the team will take care of it. Okay. But do you
Yes, ma'am.
understand all
Thank you,
of them?
ma'am.
You know what all the three are, right? That is more important.
Yes, ma'am, I know, but
Okay.
I have a little bit in the difference between them
Mhm.
because
Okay.
the function is same, ma'am.
Hmm. Right. The function is same, but there would be differences between the figures of speech for sure.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Look at the examples. You can do that right away. Please look at them. And if you do not understand what they are, please get back to me and ask them. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Sonali says she has no more questions. Anybody else with any other questions?
I have.
Yeah, please go ahead.
The question is identify the attributive adjectives in the given sentence which states the speaker's perception of water flowing in a river. Uh, live water heals memories. Water flowing in a river. Live water heals memories.
Could you please pose the question for us? Is this from the mock?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Please let us know the question number or something. We'll try to, or if you have the question, please pose this
No, not from the
uh,
mock, it's from the previous year question.
previous year question. Okay, then
2024 intern.
okay. If you have the question, please post it in the chat so that we can take a look at it.
I will try to post. Okay, ma'am.
Sure.
I'm unable to post the question because it's not copying
Okay,
from that.
just say it clearly, okay? Just read out the question clearly.
Yes, ma'am. Identify the attributive adjective in the given sentence, which states the speaker's perception of water flowing in a river.
Okay.
The sentence is uh, uh, LIVE, live, live water heals memories. The question is identify the
Please say that
attributive.
again. Please say the
Live,
sentence again.
live water heals memories.
Live water.
Heals memories. Heals. HEAL. Heals memories.
Okay.
So attributive adjective from
Okay.
which is
From what I
the
understand, I think it should be live. The word live should be the attribute.
yes, ma'am. Live water heals
Yeah.
memories.
Correct.
So what will be the attributive adjective?
Attributive adjective is the word live. Live water, right? So live.
Okay, okay. One more question.
Yeah.
Wait, ma'am. A question tag. Uh,
Yeah.
Complete the given sentence with the most fitting question tag. She
Ah.
never had an advantage. Did she? Didn't she? Had she? Hadn't she?
Did she, right? Did she should be the answer.
Why not? Hadn't she also in the option?
No, not hadn't she, because see she never had an advantage, right?
Yes, ma'am.
She never had an advantage, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Uh, no, because you have, see, in simple past tense, when you don't have a have an auxiliary to pick out. Here it is not an auxiliary. This is the actual verb of the sentence. Okay.
Okay.
So when that is the case, you'll have to use did, do, or does based on what your tense and number of the subject is, right? So this is why did she.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Here had is not an
No,
auxiliary.
it's the
It's a
main verb.
verb of
No,
the
not an
sentence.
auxiliary.
Okay.
The main verb of the sentence, right?
Okay, ma'am. One more question. If
Yeah.
they were corrupt, they would be facing its consequences. This is a sentence, zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, or mixed conditional.
What is the first part? Sorry, I did not. It was
If
not
they were
clear.
corrupt, if they were corrupt,
Yeah.
they would be facing its consequences.
If they were corrupt, they would be facing its
Would be facing
consequences. Is it?
its consequences.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It's a second.
They were corrupt. Simple past tense. I think first, no, not first. They were correct. Second conditional? I think
Yes,
so.
ma'am.
Yeah.
I was also confirmed. I choose first conditional, then after seeing answer,
Uh-huh. It's the second condition.
okay. Hmm. Yes, one more question, ma'am. Which
Yeah.
of the following sentences uses as a discourse marker to begin a conversation?
Okay.
So sentences are: you will get the refund only after you submit the form. Did you get that? Question mark. The second is to begin with, there was no cake at the birthday party.
Hmm.
The third one is overall the book was filled with interesting facts but lacked cohesion.
Right.
Uh,
It's to start a conversation, right? Is it? Or
yes,
to
yes,
introduce something?
ma'am.
So to begin with, obviously.
Ma'am, can you explain the discourse marker once?
We just
Concept.
did that in the beginning of the session, but for your interest, discourse markers are usually phrases or words that you use in conversations, right? To do the same thing, like the question asks you, either to initiate a conversation or to, make a make a transition from the first sentence to the next, right? To bridge that gap between the first and the next sentence.
Okay, ma'am.
Or to additionally give some information, general conversational requirement. So these phrases, they act as the some sort of fillers so that you can start off something or you can add something, contrast something, so on and so forth.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Uh, that's all. One thing, ma'am.
Yeah.
There is a concept of adjunct. Adjunct are those words which we remove from that sentence, so it does not change the means the sentence after removing those adjuncts, sentence still be the grammatically correct. So is it the
Correct, correct.
definition of the adjunct?
Yeah, it is a definition. It's a concept. There's nothing called a definition. You need to understand what it is. It's basically an optional element in the sentence, right? You can get rid of it. It's not an absolutely necessary thing. It's not a necessary segment to ensure grammaticality. You can remove that and still have a grammatical sentence.
Ma'am, one question for that adjunct. The question is: Susan waited outside for a long time.
Mm.
So here, what is the adjunct? The question asks. So
Mm.
if we remove outside from the sentence,
Mm.
so outside will be the adjunct in that sentence.
You can say both of them, right? Susan waited outside for a long time. You can simply say she waited also. So you can say the other two things for a long time and outside both can be considered as an adjunct, right? Waited, I think, is an intransitive verb. It doesn't require anything to complete it. And this doesn't look like something that requires a complement also. So you could say both outside and the other part could be adjunct.
Susan waited outside for a long time.
Yes,
Okay.
for a long
Okay.
time, for sure. Definitely, we don't need that. Outside
Waited,
also. Yeah.
waited outside. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Right. Anybody, any other questions? Anyone? Okay, anybody? Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mm.
Leader,
Yes,
can
sir.
you hear me? Leader,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
So we can close that now. I am sorry I could not, I had to attend to something. So it's okay. We can close.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sonali, and everybody. Bye bye.